Good morning. It's the Satesman, small van driver on the 6, and it's Bank Holiday Monday. This is week in the life of from last week, and well, it was a week. It was a week. Not gonna lie. Um, yeah, starting Monday 22nd. I'd already got a job booked in from where I normally go from Chris, and it didn't start very well. I've got to be there at 6. It was a long day anyway. It's a long day. It's best part of a round trip is best part of 400 miles. That's getting home as well. In fact, it's a little bit more than that. And I do it regular. I go to Southampton, Exeter, Bristol, Cardiff, Cheltenham. It's in fact 500 miles, but it weren't today because I got to the company I go to collect the work. They have a night shift, but they don't start loading vans until 6 o'clock. That's when the shift starts. So it's never going to be 6 o'clock. It's normally 5, 10 past. They've had a lot of hassle getting the stuff together on pallets. It's been a bit of a pain in the arse. Don't seem to know. Chris has been sort of egging them on, cajoling them, trying to get them to do it, put them on one pallet so they can find the boxes. Monday, it didn't happen. We got there and I was there just before 6. They started looking for the boxes and I only had 10 boxes and they couldn't find 2 of the boxes. They found the others, it took them a while. They couldn't find 2 of the boxes and eventually they found them and I got out of there at about 7:15, which is pants because it means I'm going to hit everything wrong. I'm going to hit Oxford traffic. I do the route that often. I know that if I don't get out there for about 6:15 at the latest, I'm going to be struggling everywhere. And it happened. 7:15, I got stuck in the Oxford traffic on the 34, got down to Southampton, missed the rush hour there. I suppose it helps. But I was struggling because they have to be there at certain times. And it was never going to happen, not with Cardiff as well. So instead of phoning Chris at that time of morning because he's in bed, I just took the job, said, let's get cracking. And I weren't the only one. There was a couple of other drivers waiting even longer than me, apparently. But I did Southampton, I did Exeter, and then Chris phoned me when I got out of Exeter on the way up to Bristol, and he'd seen, because he'd looked at the CX, how late I was leaving, because you put you on site when you're loaded, and it was over an hour and a quarter. And brilliantly put 25 quid on for me for my waiting time, and he says, you ain't going to get these done, are you? I said, no. I says, I don't think I'm going to be able to manage to get them all done. So he said, I'll phone you back. And he phoned me back and he says, bring Cardiff back. He says, because the reason being, you've got the same run tomorrow virtually. He said, you have got the same run. So he said, bring Cardiff back if you can to Northampton. He says, just do Bristol, Cheltenham and home. Well, back to the company, drop the boxes off, and they're going to be delivered tomorrow because there's Cardiff's anyway. So that's what I did. I did Bristol, I did Cheltenham, and it was a fairly long day. It worked out 13 and a half hours once I dropped these 2 Cardiffs back at the company I collect from. So I didn't get home really till just gone 7, something like that at night. So it was a long day, but it was very well paid because I returned the 2 Cardiffs and that was charged because I brought them back. Um, Brilliant. Got the full money for it and it ended up being a really good day. I got 448 on that day. So it was a very good day for me. It was a long day. I didn't really have many breaks. I had about 20-minute breaks. And that was like a toilet stop and grab a coffee. I just decided I'll just keep going. And it's a lovely drive. When you've done Cheltenham and you come back to Northampton, it's a cracking drive. You can go back on the M5, M42 or A46, but no, you go through the Cotswolds, up to Stoner Wold, through to Deddington. It's lovely. Nice drive. But when you're tired, yeah. I ended up doing 429 miles all in because I didn't have to do the 40 miles to Cardiff from Bristol and 40 miles back. So it's normally over 500, which is great. Didn't matter. So I ended up with £1.05 every mile. So it was a really good day. So what turned out to be a pain in the arse waiting at the start, and I like to get going. It turned out a really good day. So really appreciate Chris putting the money on it. he's charging the company because they're just not doing it right. Tuesday, I got the job Tuesday, same job. Southampton, Exeter, Cardiff, no Bristol this time, it was Cheltenham. Finish at Cheltenham. So that's fine. And we set off, we got there again at 6 o'clock to pick up. I normally like to be on the road, but 5, 5:15, when we used to be able to collect the night before, but you can't. So I got there at 6 and I was out the door and I was away. It was better. It was better. I got away about 25 past 6 and it meant I could do the deliveries. Yes, I was late-ish at Cardiff. They were just going home, but I would have got rid of them anyway. I think there was 2 boxes for Cardiff, that's all. Yeah, so we got 4 boxes there was for Cardiff because there was 2 from the day before. So we did that job. We got to Cheltenham about, I'm going to say, 4:15. So again, another long day. And believe it or not, I got the same job again Wednesday. It's amazing, isn't it? 3 days and I've virtually done the same job. And it's mad, really. You think about it, because if they just send them all in one day, but they're all next day. I think the company I go to, they get online orders where they're going to collect them, so they have to be there and the store. So fair enough. So Tuesday did really well, 315. Um, Obviously, didn't make as much money because I didn't bring anything back to Northampton. And from Cheltenham, I'm only 64 miles from home, which is just over a gallon of fuel for me. And I only poodle back. And I just thought, yeah, I'm not staying at Cheltenham. Chris had said, can you do the same Wednesday? I said, yeah. He says, I said, I need to be back as well because we've got a bike night. It's our last bike night. So I went to the company at 6 o'clock Wednesday morning and it was much better. Much better. I was out the door by 6:10 because Chris had been charging waiting time to them. They got their act in order. Well, they had that day anyway. And I was out the door. 6:15, I was on the road. I got to Southampton before rush hour. I was out of Southampton. I didn't have to do Exeter. So I just went straight to Southampton to Cardiff and Bristol. I ended in Bristol. So it was a lot shorter day for me. I didn't have Exeter because the road to Exeter is a good old way and then up to Bristol. That got cut out. I went straight up and across the M4. It cut a lot of mileage out, a lot of time. And I finished in Bristol. Uh, Everyone knows me. I park in. It's right near Morrison's at Cribs Causeway, and it's a great place. Oh, sorry. It's just had some breakfast. Yeah, all good. And I got to Bristol, and I thought, last bike night at the cafe, because the cafe's closing today, Bank Holiday Monday. Wife's already gone to work. They're getting everything out of there that's ours, stock, not just the stock. So it's going to be a busy day for her, but I digress. Yeah, and I got to Bristol, and I went to Morrison's, and got a meal deal. And I just started on my meal deal, and I thought it'd be nice to get a job, but I thought I've got 2 hours to get home. It's a lot of dead miles, but I'm getting back for bike night. And a job popped up from Bristol to Hinckley, which is great for me because it's about just under 45 miles from home. So I quoted pretty good money on it as well and got it. It was outside Bristol. It wasn't Yate, but it was on that way. It was a strange one. It was just out in an industrial estate, 2 miles out of Bristol, and I got it. So that was pick up, and I thought that's great. That's a fair bit of money getting me home as well, getting closer to home, which I did. And I delivered Hinckley at 4:15, and I just drove home. It was an hour. I was at the bike night, 4:45, and that was even with all the traffic. Again, another fairly longish day. Weren't quite as long as the other days. I was at bike night for 5, and I started at 6 in the morning, so it's 11 hours. And I got 314 for that. So I've done my week's target in 3 days. But it is knackering. You know, you couldn't do that. I don't think you could do that every day. 12, 13-hour days. I don't know. 20 years ago, probably. So we had a bike night, and it was manic. It was our last bike night, and I'd love to be able to edit and put a photo on, but we probably had 500 bikes turn up, and it was a really good night. Brilliant crack with the lads. I was shattered home. I went home about 9 o'clock at night. That's something to eat. My wife was still busy. I think it was just after 9. I said, I've got to go. Absolutely knacked. And I got a job booked in for Thursday going north. It was two drops in Manchester, one in Liverpool. And again, it was picking up from the same thing. Chris, I've worked for him for 4 days this week, mornings, 4 early starts. Not a problem. Love it. I've always done early starts. I just wake up. I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock, wide awake, and I ain't even got to go to work today. So he said, "Would you fancy doing two Manchesters and Liverpool?" I said, "Yep, I'll do that." Knowing that Liverpool's always a good place, Liverpool, Manchester area to get work, and I thought I'll get some myself. And there was a fair few boxes on this one. There was like 30 boxes, so it was a full load on the van, and they're all weighing about 10 kilos, so it's about 300 kilos. So yeah, it was a good day. I did Trafford Park, one drop, which I found in the service yard. I got lucky. I hit the right service yard, and so I know where that is. I did Exchange Street, which is right in the centre of Manchester, and they've got roadworks going on near right around the Exchange Street area. But did that. I'd done that one before, so I knew where the service yard was. It's underground. And once you've done it once, and if it's a dodgy one, you tend to remember where it is. And then I went across to Liverpool. And Liverpool, the service yard there is right on the Albert Dock, just across the road. And again, I've done it before. So I've done them three, dropped off, no aggro whatsoever. And when I sat and had a break, I thought, you know what? I'll get out of Liverpool, out the centre, and I'll park on the services, which can't remember what they're called. Is it Burton Wood Services on the motorway as you come out of Liverpool? It's about 6-7 miles out of Liverpool, and I thought I'd just park there. I'll go and I had a break, and I thought I'm just looking for anything south really to get home. If not, I'll stay out. And sat and waited. I had a cup of coffee. Beautiful day. Got out of the van, went for a walk, and a wander around the services. Just chilled out. And there was a few jobs popping up, but nothing. It was going to Manchester, back into Manchester. There was one going up to Preston. Did I fancy it? I thought, no. And I sat and waited, and a job popped up, and it was from Widnes. Widnes. And it was pick up one small pallet, and it was meeting an engineer in N15, North London, Friday morning. I thought that suited me, down to the ground. Because it was meeting an engineer at 8:30 on the Friday morning. So if I could get that, I thought that would be ideal. If I get that job, I can go home because you go straight past the M1. Junction 15 is where I live, just off there. I live 5 miles off Junction 15. It's not even doing many extra miles, and also I've got the job south. I can split it, or I can put it all on, today. So I bid on it. I bid quite strong actually. I ended up bidding 85p a mile on it, all in, because I was looking after the pallet overnight. But it was delivering for 8:30 Friday morning, so it was an early. I was going to get done early and get some money in. It was accepted. Got a phone call. I phoned them actually after I put the bidding online to see if it was any good, and they said it was. Yep, brilliant. And they said, how far are you away? I told them I was only 7 miles away, and I went and picked it up, and it was due to be ready at 3 o'clock. I got there about 20 to 3, and there was a bit of a queue, and it was meeting an engineer to do a telephone exchange in London, off Seven Sisters Road. And I got a phone number, so picked it up, drove it home, and I was home by 5:30. So it was a good day again. It was like nearly 12 hours. And what I'd done with the money on that, I split it. I split it, so the mileage that day got me okay money. And then I split the job in half, and then I put 65 quid on the Friday from Northampton to London, which was £1 a mile, where I was going. So it was good money Thursday as well. And I'd already decided Friday, I'm going to go to London, do this job, Seven Sisters Road. I'm going to park up, maybe at Brent Cross, somewhere around there, and I'm going to sit and wait, and I'm not going to do a job anywhere but apart from near my home. So, Thursday, finished Thursday, got home, got the pallet on the back, job done, Again, another good day, 245. So I've had a really, really good week. And Friday, I thought, I could have done with not working really because I've earned the money I want to earn. But when you earn it, you want to get on. And because the week before I had Monday and Tuesday off for COVID, I'd only done a short week. So I thought if I do Friday, I'll be caught up last week's money without having any, losing out. So Friday, I left home Friday at 6 o'clock because London, although it's only an hour and a half on the timer, it can turn into 2.5 hours easy. And I thought if I leave at 6, gives me time to go services, use the facilities, get a coffee maybe. I'll see. And if the traffic's bad, I won't stop. As it happened, the traffic was okay. I did stop. I can't remember what services. The one at the. I'm going to say the one at the bottom. Can't remember. But hey, I stopped for 15 minutes. I did grab another coffee. I'd already drank me. I'd already drank. I hadn't drank my tea because it's in a flask. It was too hot. Grabbed a coffee. A little walk. Yep. Pulled off into London, and the postcode didn't match anything on my sat nav or my phone. It just said unrecognised. But I got a phone number. I got roughly the area I knew where it was going to be. It was Stamford Hill, North 15, and I thought I'll get near and I'll phone up, which I did. I phoned up at about 20 to 8. I was on Seven Sisters Road. I phoned up at 20 to 8. I thought I can't be far away. And I'm glad he was there because the road he gave me was a very tiny road off of Seven Sisters Road, and it was a straight right into the Exchange, which is an old BT building. What they're doing, they're upgrading to 5G, or something like that. I don't know. So I met them, brilliant, and that was tipped by 8:10. I was tipped, and London, that it ain't too bad if you can get in before 8 o'clock. Still traffic, so that weren't too bad, and I got 65 on that. And I decided straight away I'm going to drive up to Brent Cross. I hadn't got any food with me. I hadn't bothered taking food with me. Go to Tesco's, get us a sandwich, get a meal deal, and then we'll see what happens. And I sat and waited. There was jobs pinging. They ping. I have to put the mileage down to 10 mile radius because 30 mile radius brings in all sorts of jobs from everywhere, South London, and you ain't going there from Brent Cross. And then a job did pop up there, and it was to Boston. It was from Park Royal, which is just down the road from where I am, and it was to Boston in Lincolnshire. And it was going to a hospital, picking up a sterilised equipment and going to theatres in Boston, Pilgrim Hospital, Boston. So I thought, no one's going to really want to do that job because Boston is, all couriers will tell you this, Lincolnshire is not a brilliant area. Not a brilliant area at all. It's a bit like Norfolk. But I thought, you know what? It's a nice drive up there. I don't mind doing the drive up the A1. And I thought, if I put enough money on it, I'll put another 30 miles on the job, which would get me back to Peterborough. And I thought, if I do that and I'll put enough money on it to get me to Peterborough. And if they accept that, that's great. If they don't, I'll just sit and wait even more because I'd only waited about 20 minutes, half hour. So I quoted the money plus extra money to get me to Peterborough. And I thought, well, I'm only 30 miles from home then. If I don't, I just wanted an early day. So I got it. Yeah, I phoned up and I explained. I says, look, it's a really poor area. I'm quoting this money because I need to be able to get to Peterborough without having dead miles. And she was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant, and she was fully understood. I think there was drivers as well. They did their own driving, and she said, totally understand. She says, that's brilliant. She says, and because you're so close to it, it needs to be picked up ASAP and delivered straight there. She said, and again, feedback. It's a good feedback. I'm nearly up to 300 positive feedbacks and no negatives. So my feedback is high, and I think that persuaded her that the extra money was going to be worth it. So she gave me the job. Off we went to Park Royal. There was 4 boxes sealed. When you do theatre stuff, they're all sealed with cable ties, and it was sealed up. 4 boxes, back of the van. Asked to take a photo, which you do. You put it on and send it, and off we went. And it was a nice drive. Apart from once we got off the A1 was busy-ish, but we kept moving. Wow. Boston from Peterborough is Spalding, Boston. and the next stop would be Skeggy, and it was rammed. It's Bank Holiday Friday. Everyone will tell you everything moves on Bank Holiday Friday, and it was caravan motorhome lorries. So it was 45 mile an hour all the way. But because I'd done the money on the Monday, I'd got me money in. I weren't that fussed. I really weren't. I just thought, just chill and just carry on, get the pence per mile up with a just going at a steady speed. And we got to Pilgrim Hospital, and it said theatres. So I always head for deliveries, and then I'm quite prepared to go to deliveries, ask, take them to the theatres, which is what normally happens. And when I got to the stores, found the deliveries right around the back of the hospital. Big hospital for a place like Boston. And yeah, I went to the stores. I said, I'm a courier from this company. I've got these 4 boxes, need to go to the theatres. I think they're quite urgent. And the guys in stores, normally, you go to hospital, I'm not, I don't want to do people down, but they say, yeah, you got to take them, mate. We don't take them. And I got them on my sack barrow and I bungeed them, and it was higher than the sack barrow. It was about, they worked out about nearly 6 foot tall. And it was different completely. It was like, no worries, mate. We'll take them for you. If you take them out your sack barrow, they can go in that cage. We're going up. We'll go up there and we're going to take them for you. Blimey. Sign my paperwork. And he said, I said, yeah, they were, I said, I was told they were urgent. Yep. And the guy was on his way with them. So that saved me a job because the stores was nowhere near where the theatres were. I know they weren't because it was right at the back of the hospital. So that was it. Nice and easy. I pulled out of Boston. The hospital was just the other side of Boston. Back through Boston, traffic was so much easier because everyone was going to the coast and I was coming back from the coast. And I parked in a little services between Boston and Spalding. And I did the video for the different pricing from 2020 to 2022, the last one. I sat there and done that video. I give the van wheels. My alloys are real good clean. And I thought, oh, wait. And I looked at who's near me, and there was one driver, and he was in a Luton. So I thought, if anything does come out of Boston going my way, I'm in. I thought, I know it ain't going to happen. And I was 100% really sure. But I cleaned the wheels on the van, had a coffee, had a nice break, had a chill out. And I thought, you know what, I'll just drive home because I've done my money. I've done, on the Friday, I did a 163, 165. But it was okay. I thought I'll take the mileage home because I've got a bit in the job. And I just drove home. On the way to Peterborough, I had a courier phone me. Desperate for a job to be covered. Couldn't get this job covered. Peterborough to Stansted. Now, I'd put my availability as limited, which comes up yellow, with constraints. And I put it with constraints. And the constraints I was using were, I was heading home. Anywhere going my way, it's a good song. Anything going my way, I would have done it. Anything going to Milton Keynes, anything going to Bedford, anything going to Corby, Kettering, Wellingborough, even as far as probably Leicester, I would have probably have done it. But I weren't going where she wanted. She says, can you do this job? It's Peterborough to Stansted Airport. And she virtually said, it's good money if you want it. She says, but I'm really struggling. I says, unfortunately, I'm going to the Midlands. I says, and I've had a really long week, and it just takes me miles from where I want to be, from away from my house. Even if you give me the money to get me home, I hope you're okay. She seemed fine. She said, I understand. So she put the phone down. And then the phone went again. And I'm thinking, Jesus, someone else. But it was Chris, funny enough. And he says, I've got your job for Tuesday. He says, it's a long day. It's the normal, Southampton, Exeter. I went, yeah. I says, yeah, we can do that for Tuesday. So I booked in for Tuesday. So that just made my mind up. I've got a long day Tuesday. I'm just going to poodle home. And I did. And that was my week. I was home by 3. In fact, I was home about 3 o'clock. And I washed the van, the outside of the van. I'd done the wheels with a bucket and water. And I washed my van. Took me about 15, 20 minutes. Cleaned it all down. And that was my week done. And it was a mega week. It was really good. It was a lot of hours, but I don't mind. I don't mind. In this time of year, it's easier to work longer hours than it is in the winter when it's cold, miserable, wet. And I knew I got long weekends. I knew I wouldn't be working Monday. And I thought, yep. and weekend was already planned. We were fishing all day Saturday, which we did. Went out on the bike yesterday with the wife. Had a cracking breakfast yesterday, and today I'm just chilling, doing bits and bobs. So total, I did 2,000 miles last week, 2,040, which is fair few miles, but that's what it is. Small van, and the hours I worked was 57 hours. Might take 11 and a bit hours average per day, and that was with a short Friday. So Monday to Thursday was long hours. Friday was not long hours. I ended up doing 8.5 hours, which is a full shift for a lot of people. And I ended up earning 1,485. And then you add the VAT on, because I'm VAT registered. That's without VAT. And it works out 1,782. But then you're taking off 9% of the gross, because I'm on the flat rate scheme. And that takes off 160. So that leaves 1620. Now, my pence per mile without VAT, I always do it without VAT. The VAT I get extra, I don't put that in my earnings over a year. I just keep that as a bonus. And the extra money I'm earning, the 11% extra, because obviously I'm paying 9% back, and that'll go to 10% next year, because the first year you get on the flat rate scheme, they let you have 9%. So, yeah, so it works out. In fact, I've just paid my VAT because it's due September the 7th. So I've just paid a quarter, which, your bank balance goes up, you're thinking, wow, doing all right here, and then drops. Because they have a 9% of what you've earned over 3 months, which, it's a fair chunk. So yeah, it was a great week. And my average earnings without the VAT was 73 pence every mile. And I did some dead miles. If I didn't do the dead miles, I'd be up to 85, 90p. I'm sure I would every week. But you have to factor in your dead miles. You are going to do dead miles. I said that on my video with how I charge for jobs. You're never going to do a day without dead miles. It's trying to cut the dead miles to a minimum or cut them down that keeps you earning. With a small van, dead miles are not too much. They are an issue, but they're not as much of an issue because I have slowed the van down, as in I don't go around at 70 mile an hour on motorways. I do 63, and I don't race it anywhere, and I just treat it gently, and I'm getting 60 to the gallon. It drops to 58 if I give it a little bit extra. If I give it the full beans all the time, it drops to 50. Under 50 it can do if you really got a load on. So, that's what it is. So it's a bloody good week. I'm not going to lie. Next week, we've got a good start as well on the Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Again, we've got to collect at 6, so it'll be interesting to see if we can get away and get the job done. I'm ending up in Cardiff tomorrow, so we'll see. If we can't get nothing from Cardiff, I'm not driving 145 miles back. I'll stay in Cardiff, and that'll count at 10 miles. So, I hope you're having a good week. I chatted to a few guys on the phone. Chatted to Toolman, had a quick chat with him. I chatted with Neil at Neptune's. He's got a new van. He's got a custom. I love them. I love the Ford Customs. I've come to a sort of, what's the word for it? I'm 50-50 what to do. My van now is 138,000, my Berlingo. Neil had a Berlingo, lots of trouble. Mine has been good as gold. I have spent money on it. I've done the timing belt, the fuel pump, the water pump. It's had replenished the filter, the diesel particle filter, and all cleaned, and the new stuff in that was expensive, and that's done every 100,000 sort of thing. I have spent the money on it, and it is you do on every van. My next service, I know I'm going to have to have the brakes done. They're okay, but they're going to need doing next service. It's just maintenance, and it's expensive. Do a part X the van in now for another van, because what I lent the business I've paid back. The loan's been paid back to me, so the business stands as it stands. And I have got probably enough money to part X the van for a newer van. And the next van I get was probably going to be one I'm going to keep for probably 2 years. yeah, maybe 2 years, because I'm doing 70,000 a year. So I want a low mileage van and do the same again. I've had this one now for 18 months. Or do I keep the van and just keep running it? Because it ain't doing me no harm. If I get another van, it's going to be a larger van. It's either going to be a small van but an L2, so you can get 2 pallets in it, and it's easier to tramp in. Or am I going to go up to the same sort of size, a short wheelbase? I don't think I'd do a short wheelbase. I think I would go with a low roof, long wheelbase. So that's a H1L2. Well, I've been looking around. I'm very meticulous when I buy vans. There's sort of 3 types. There's obviously the custom, what Neil's got. There's the Vivaro, Vauxhall Vivaro, which you get a long wheelbase in, and they're slightly cheaper than the custom. I'm looking for a van under 30,000 miles, or as a Renault Traffic long wheelbase, low roof. I don't want a high roof. I still want to be able to get in some car parks, and I think the low roof, and it's the pence per mile. Now, I think the custom, I'm thinking, is 40 miles, 45 maximum per gallon. The Vivaro, they claim on it, it can do 50 to 52 per gallon, which is not far short of me Berlingo. And if it's a long wheelbase, you get €3 in it, and you get 2 standard pallets in it. And around Northampton, there's a fair bit of work. And also, if a van that does 50 to the gallon, you're going to pick up small van work as well at a good price, and you're not going to be too far out. It opens up more opportunity. It depends. But I do like the small van. I like my Berlingo. If I got another one, though, I may switch to a combo L2, because the Vauxhall dealer is about less than a mile from where I live. Whereas my Citroen dealer, if it has to go in for any work, is 30, 40 miles away. It's a pain in the arse. And I like my combo, my first combo, I loved. I love the Berlingo, don't get me wrong, but it's a great little van. So we're thinking it's going to be, if I don't swap the van by, say, my insurance is due in October, my van insurance. Would I swap it around about then and see how it goes? So through the winter, I've got a better van to tramp in, a bigger van. It's a lot easier. I can put a fishing bed in there and have a more comfy night's sleep. Or do I just keep the Berlingo, the little Scylla, as it's nicknamed, Scylla the Berlingo? Don't ask me, grandchildren. Nicknamed a Scylla, the Scylla the Citroen. So, do I keep that, or do I move up? It's a tricky one. We'll see. I say I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at reviews of vans, see what issues you can have, seeing what the miles is, seeing what the price is. I would be looking at sort of 15, 16, 17,000 quid, which is a lot of money, but it's what it is. I'd still get good money on my Berlingo. I'd still get 7.5 grand now, 7 grand maybe. So I'm looking at finding probably 10 grand. So it's a lot of money, but if you're buying a van that's 2 years newer and it's going to do the job, that's what it is. The money's, you've got to make it. You've got to keep progressing, or keep the Berlingo. Once I keep the Berlingo, if I decide I'm going to keep it, this one, then it's going to be kept until it runs into the ground. In other words, 250,000, 300,000. And is it going to cost me money? I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. So that was a week in the life. Like I say, hope you all done well. I'm now going to do a few chores and have a chill out, and have a good week, everyone. Oh, quickly, before I go, thanks for your subscriptions. I think it's at 408, 49, I don't know, it's over 400. If you want to subscribe, if you want to leave me comments, I will answer them. It may take me a while. It depends how quick I look at them. I don't really look back over videos, but say if you leave me a comment, I will answer you. This is what I do. I unedit it. There's no editing. There's no crappy anything. It's just as you read it, as you see it, is what you get. Anyway, take care.